Here we go. We're right back here at 10:36 on this 10th day of January. Dallas Martz. Oh, I can't type today.
Oh, well. I've been called a lot worse, CJ, believe me.
Well, Dallas, how can we become a host family when I fix this mess?
Well, the first thing we're going to do, we're going to get you some flashcards and help you with your capital letters. So,
let's just fix that. Hold on. We'll fix it in post.
All right.
Yeah, hold on. We're almost there.
Okay.
Yeah.
So now we can see some behind the scenes work on exactly how. There we go. So, no, I appreciate you having me on. So I'll get here earlier next time and we'll go over the spelling and everything.
Yeah, I'll ask you for the pronunciation, the hyphenated out.
That too.
Well, we've had a lot of River Dragon stuff on. Blake Burris was a great conversation. We got to talk to the NCBAA. That's going to be awesome to bring in. Yeah, it's a lot of fun. And now we get to talk host families. A great opportunity for all of us to hang out with a pro baseball player and show them the ropes of the River Bend for about, 2 months?
Yeah, it's about 2.5 months. Our first game of the season this year is June 1st.
Okay.
We open it up on the road. So our first home game will be June 2nd. But for the first time ever, we're going to open up on the road. The host family program, I'll just kind of go over the basics first. It's pretty simple. The minimums for the host family program is just you need to have an extra bedroom for the player to stay in, and they need to have access to your kitchen. The keyword access, that doesn't mean provide the food.
Right.
That just provides, it just means provide the access for the player to be able to make a meal if they need to. A lot of questions. That's probably one of the number one questions we get is meals and food and all that. And realistically, let's face it, these are college athletes. They play baseball till about 10:30, 11 o'clock at night.
Right.
And so they sleep in.
Right.
Like we all did back then.
Right.
So usually breakfast isn't much of an issue. They wake up around lunchtime, and then really they got to be out at the field for a home game by 2:30 or 3.
Right.
And sometimes they're out of there sooner because when we go on the road, depending on where that road trip is, sometimes we're on the bus as early as 10:30, 11 o'clock in the morning. And then the team provides a post-game meal for the players at the end of the game. And thanks to a lot of our food partners for that. Max downtown last year really stepped up and helped us out a lot for post-game meals. And these were really good meals for the players. And speaking of Max, I'm going there for lunch today. So this timing works out great.
Right.
So,
there you go.
Lunch special quesadilla looks really good. So thanks
Get it out there.
So thanks for having me on today. It gets me out of the office. But yeah, the host family program, it's really one of the most important parts of what we do. If without shelter for our players, we wouldn't have a team. And the host family support we've had, even going back to our very first season, which was when we were new, COVID was still a big topic.
Right.
And we were still able to get a few host families for that season. In 2021, we did have to rent some houses to house kids and players. But by the end, we had 3 houses to start. And by the end of the season in 2021, we were down to just 1. So as we moved along in 2021, families started coming out, seeing what we were all about, meeting our players.
Right.
And becoming a host family almost right there on the spot. And then last year we didn't have to host, or we didn't have to have any extra housing. We had host families for all of our out of town players, and it's a very, very unique opportunity to get to know someone, and 99% of the time they become lifelong friends.
Right.
The John and Margaret Hopkins were one of our host families this past season, and they hosted one of our players, Colton Hunt, who lives in Tennessee. And Colton stayed with them for the summer. And of course, what happens happened there, and they become really close with not just Colton but also his family. And just this past Christmas, just a few weeks ago, Colton actually came back to visit the Hopkins family, and so that's the types of relationships that can come out of this. It's really neat.
I just saw John yesterday over at Johnson's Corner. I was taking the food safety class.
Oh, really?
I passed. Barely.
Okay, good.
So at least now you know I'm ready for the concession stand.
Yeah, exactly.
At least now you know where to put me.
Or you can start providing meals here for your guests.
That's true. Well, to me, Dallas, you hit it right on the head. Host families really are the most crucial part of this. But honestly, it makes the players, in my opinion, want to come back even more next year because they learn the community in a different aspect.
Yeah, they do. And that's one of the things I'm most proud of. I've only I had the opportunity to call Alton home for the last couple of years,
Right.
and it really became home right away. And it gives people an opportunity to come to our town. Keep in mind, as we mentioned, these are college guys.
Right.
These are college students, and every single one of them up to this point have had a positive experience here in Alton for the most part, and they want to come back. I think we do a pretty good job with having players want to come back for a second and third
Right.
season, and that's something to be real proud of, and that's tip of the hat to our host family program and our community.
Well, and that's not very common in the Prospect League, right? Is to have players returning, multiple seasons at it. I mean, we're talking 3 and 4 years or 2 and 3 years. That's a good number.
Yeah. Oh, it's very impressive. Fortunately, here in our area, we were able to get off to a really good start with local talent.
Right.
You mentioned Blake Burris earlier. You got Adam Stiltz, Mike Hampton, Adam Stiltz, Bryce Zupan, and some of these other local guys. They go off to college. Blake's down in Arkansas.
Right.
Bryce, who I just saw the other day, is down in Kentucky, for school, and Adam's over in Kansas City, and these guys get an opportunity to come back home for the summer,
right,
and play in front of family and friends and the people that rooted for them ever since they were really young.
And that's what, honestly, when you guys started, that's what I thought was the coolest part of it, because I was over in Texas at the time, but I'm going, damn, this is great, because all the best players in the area that played in high school are all on one team now, and you get like an all-star game all the time for local talent, but then you brought in players from out of state that were just phenomenal. You got to be proud of the work so far.
Yeah, we're real proud of it, proud of our community. None of this happens without the support and the immediate support of sponsors and stuff that jumped on board on day one. And, we wouldn't be sitting here having this conversation today if it wasn't for those sponsors, if it wasn't for the fans that started coming out and seeing that fan base grow and grow and grow throughout the first 2 seasons. And we're really excited about the way things look for 2023 here.
Well, I'm telling you, I'm going to have 2 pennants, the Western Conference and then the whole damn thing right above it.
I hope you do. We'll just have to change some of that verbiage up there and say league champs. But
I'll have like 18 of them by the end of the show run.
I hope so. Yeah, I hope so.
Did you expect to get this much of a reception and this much of a community involvement with the team when you first started? Because like you said, you were newer to the area.
Yeah.
You live here now.
You know what? I came in thinking it was going to be hard. I came in thinking it was going to be really hard because of COVID mostly. This was I moved here in the fall of 2020. We didn't even really have vaccines then, and it was still there were a lot of things still shut down. So I knew it was going to be a challenge, and I'm not going to go as far as saying it was easy, but it was a little easier than I thought, and that was because of the corporate sponsorship we got off to right away. When you went out to the ballpark on our very opening day, back a couple of years ago now, and you looked at all the banners of those, those are the businesses that stepped up and wrote a check and invested in something that a lot of them really weren't even sure what it was. But they were able to kind of see the vision that we had. So going back to your question, I didn't really know what to expect, to be honest with you. All I know is it's been a little bit easier than I anticipated. Again, I'm not going to say it's been easy because it hasn't. It's a lot of work. But yeah, it's been a very positive experience.
Well, and on top of it, and it kind of segues back to being a host family. What's so cool is, especially during the amphitheater season, because we were out with the tent doing a bunch of different events, going back and hanging out with the commissioners down at Cats or going to Max, but seeing, you walk in and, and some of the other River Dragons, faculty members or staff, whenever the season's going on, we're talking, after a game's over and you guys pop in, but to see everyone going, hey, guys, and it just this community feeling of, everyone's behind the River Dragons, everyone's talking to each other and just promoting the team, but promoting their, just community atmosphere with each other is really what was so cool about everything.
Really the moment that I feel like that it really clicked was when we were in the league championship series last year, and we're playing Chillicothe. We played game 1 of that best of 3 here, and then we went on the road for games 2 and 3. And Mac across the street here said, "Hey, we ought to have a watch party here." And so they figured out a way to stream the games in there. And I wasn't really sure what kind of crowd it was going to expect there. And, of course, I was on the road with the team. And game 2, which I can't remember, Saturday or Sunday night or whatever it was, and we won that game.
Right.
And I'm thinking, I wonder how Max went. And then about 30 minutes later, Abby, our intern, who did a great job, who's going to be back with us next year, she texted me a picture of all of them in front of Max out here on Bell Street. You had, so many of our diehard fans in that picture. You had our interns in there. You had the Alton PD in there. You had Mac in there. You had all of these people in this picture. And I remember being in my hotel that night looking at that picture going, wow, this is really cool, and did the same thing for game 3. And that was it was really cool when you're on the road, you don't know what's going on. And then you get a picture and you see what happened. It was really, really neat. So again, that's part of that community support we've been fortunate to have.
And it's just one of the great aspects of the River Dragons. And another great way that you guys can support an awesome organization here locally is being a host family, like it says on the screen. Now, what are some of the questions you normally get when it comes to people wanting to be a host family? Is there any that we can kind of answer before you even get the emails going?
Yeah, the big one that we talked about earlier is the food, and now just access to a kitchen and a bedroom. And, those are the main 2 questions, and also the time frame. And, with our first game being June 1st, I would expect our players to start showing up within 3 or 4 days of that date. And keep in mind, these guys are coming off of their college season. So they're 45, 50 games deep into baseball already. Right. So about 60 to 70% of our guys are here for game 1. And then the other 30% get here over the next week and a half, just as their seasons are ending. Because a lot of these are participating in their postseason tournaments and NCAA tournaments. So as they play through that, and when that comes to an end, then normally they report to us within a couple of days.
Awesome. And how long does it take to normally get the process started? So if somebody's interested in being a host family, is the best time to reach out now?
Yeah, you can do that right now. In fact, we're working pretty hard on that right now. You can go to AltonBaseball.com, and if you scroll down to the bottom of the page, you'll see a picture of become a host family. And just clicking on that link doesn't commit you. It's just going to take you to some information.
Oh, cool.
Answers some of the questions that we've talked about, and then there's also an online form you could submit your information, and then we can follow up with you within the next couple of days. But yeah, AltonBaseball.com, and down at the bottom of the page.
Now, was there ever a time, I'm sure when this is starting, you're going, we're having college baseball players living with, people in the community, where I'm sure the dad in you or whatever, the nerves go a little bit up. But was it right away one of those things you're like, wow, this worked really well?
Well, I've had, I've been around summer collegiate baseball a little bit, not very much until I came here, but I've been around. I knew enough to know where the host family situations are usually a very positive situations. Our players, the first 2 seasons, and this next roster is going to be exactly the same. They're good guys. They're really, really good players. Most of these guys, or a lot of them, are on college scholarships, and all of them playing college baseball somewhere. And you got to be pretty well behaved and disciplined to be playing ball at that level. And when they come here, the same expectations back at their schools are expected here. And like I said, we've been so fortunate to have just such great players, but most importantly, really good human beings come play for the River Dragons the last couple of seasons, and this roster won't be any different.
Well, you're right, because I'm not going to lie to you. The last year, whenever because I'm friends with Dan, and we were going out, and he was telling me about the players and how there's just this great atmosphere, and immediately, because I soccer player in college and all them going, all right, there's always, let's see, I met I'm at least half the team. Every one of them was just the utmost respect, gentlemen, just really nice, really friendly, but just great to be around. I mean, there wasn't that intimidating jock, they're going to impose on us. This is a great family team.
Yep. One of the neatest things we do after home games is all of the kids that are at the game that night get to come out on the field and run the bases and play catch with players, take selfies and get autographs. And we've done a really good job with that. Our players have, embracing that. And, keep in mind, they've been out at the ball field since 2:30, 3 o'clock, and they just played a baseball game. They're tired, they're hungry, and they want to eat and go home and get some rest. But yet they spend about 30 to 40 minutes after ball games hanging out with kids.
Right.
And I don't really remember the player or the exact situation, but I saw a player just kind of went above and beyond with a young fan, and I went over and complimented him on that. And he goes, Dallas, you don't understand. This is fun for us too. And just really hit home. Like, this is really cool that, a 19, 20-year-old college student appreciates the opportunity to hang out with fans, and they get it. You know, they understand what it's all about, even at that age.
Well, you're right, because they could easily go, all right, here we go again. But you're right, it's full of energy and full of just positive, atmosphere all around. For anyone that's not familiar, how many host families do you have currently, or did you have last year?
Yeah, we have about 12 host families right now that provide about 17 beds.
Oh, wow.
Some take more than one player, so that helps out a lot. So as we sit right now, we're still a few short. This roster, we try to get as much local talent as we can. This roster, we might have a little less local talent overall, but we've got more players coming in from all over the country. This year, we've got players coming in from Florida all the way out to Hawaii and everywhere in between. So, so we
cover the gauntlet.
Yeah. So, our first year, and I believe it was pretty close to accurate for our second year, we had players from all 4 time zones on the continental U.S.
Oh, wow.
And now we throw Hawaii in there, so we're expanding. So, our new head coach next year, I'm really excited about this young guy. His name's Scotty Scott. We actually grew up almost in the same neighborhood back in Houston at much different times. When I lived there, everything was in black and white, and today it's all in color. So, so I've gotten to really enjoy getting to know Scotty a little bit on the phone. He's doing a fantastic job recruiting players, and he was a 4-year baseball player out at the University of Hawaii. So that's where those ties to Hawaii come. And Scotty was a great baseball player, a highly recruited baseball player coming out of high school. Some big programs recruited him, and he ended up settling in at Hawaii. And so he's got a lot of great contacts out there. He was a great baseball player, more than likely was going to be a draft pick, but some arm injuries kept that from happening. And he's just going to be a great coach. And we're excited about helping him kind of launch his coaching career here in Alton. And he's going to be a good guy to have around this summer.
You know, it's funny. I was actually going to ask you before the interview started. I said, what are you going to ask Dallas besides host families? And that was one of them, because those are some pretty big shoes to fill. I mean, you guys had a great coach last year. A lot of experience, but I think it's cool to have somebody that's a little bit younger too, that's really, ready and fired up and ready to go.
Yeah, Daryl Handelsman obviously was our coach the first 2 seasons, and we couldn't have had a better person in that role for our first 2 seasons. I was new to this business. I learned a lot from Daryl.
Were you really?
Yeah, from as far as the the baseball part, I was able to learn a lot from Daryl on how he put together a roster, and now Daryl was the right man for that job the first couple of years, and we would have loved to have had him back for a third, but he's actually going to be coaching next year in a different league, a lot closer to where his kids live, and it just made sense.
Yeah.
And Daryl and I are still friends, and we shoot each other a text a couple of times a month, and I'm real excited about Scotty coming in, a new chapter, new style of play, and I think we're going to be a really exciting baseball player to watch, or baseball team to watch, and just seeing the kind of player that Scotty was when he was playing. If we duplicate that here, we're going to have a lot of fun.
Well, and like you said, the biggest aspect to me is you have a way to have a contact database for throughout the country. I mean, this cool thing about it is we're becoming a melting pot of different backgrounds because of baseball, because of different out of town sporting events and different things like that. I mean, we're having players coming in all over right to Alton, and eventually they'll come back and at least visit, and help out the community again.
Yeah, that's been one of our goals with the job that I've got, is to make Alton a baseball spot in the country. We're almost right here in the middle. It's not just River Dragons. It's getting events like the Division II Club World Series for the NCBA, and other events like that. And we've got a beautiful ballpark. We keep making improvements to it every year. And we've really got an opportunity to really grow a baseball atmosphere here in Alton, Illinois, and give people an experience, that they'll never forget.
Awesome. And you're right. And on top of that, I mean, ahead of next season, I mean, are there anything you're going to tease right away? Is there any different, giveaway nights or any specific nights that you're telling people to get tickets for early?
Well, bobbleheads have always been
that's a
big thing the first 2 seasons. And this year, there's Dinger from last year. And then we had the Robert Wadlow ones the year before that. And this year it's going to be a little different because we're actually using 2 players as our bobblehead. So
do they have to fight over that?
Yeah, well, I tell you, those are big nights at the ballpark. We're going to actually have 2 bobblehead nights. One of them is the Eddie King Jr. bobblehead.
Rightfully so.
Yep, he was the league MVP last year, so we have a MVP bobblehead for Eddie. And then Blake Burris will be another bobblehead this year. He was the batting champ for the league, and also set a new record for stolen bases by an individual, which led our team to set a new league record as stolen bases for a team.
I thought that was more impressive. I mean, the hitting's impressive, but to do that, to be that kind of diligent on the base paths is pretty more impressive.
Looking back at it, it's really cool because the previous record was like 166 stolen bases by a team in a season. Last year, we broke that record, shattered that record, demolished it, and we stole 212 bases. So teams knew we were going to run, and it wasn't a secret. You see Blake Burris at first. Well, give him a few seconds, he's going to be at second. They knew it was going to happen, but they couldn't stop us, which was a lot of fun. And of course, you need to be really fast, on the base pass, but you also need to be smart.
Right.
And we had the perfect match of being smart and being able to run. And like I said, they knew we were going. They just couldn't get us out, which was fun.
And then do you guys have an online merch store? I was going to ask you that too, or where do we get our merchandise?
Yeah, there is a merchandise store online right now. And I'm looking forward to, we're going to have a really cool merch store at the ballpark this year. A lot of new designs, a lot of cool new options.
I'm looking at the red pullover. I like the red more than the green one. I like that one.
Yeah, I've got a different color. I wear these a lot. They're really comfortable because they're perfect for a day like today. It's a little chilly, but it's not terrible outside. But so it's a nice top.
Awesome. And then let's circle back. We got about 2 minutes left. How can we become a host family? What's the best numbers? Email the reach.
You can go to altonbaseball.com and then just scroll to the bottom of the page. And click on Become a Host Family, and it'll take you to that page, get you some more information. And then also, if you want to fill out the form for us to be able to follow up with you, that's the best way to do it. So altonbaseball.com, and then head to the bottom of the page. You can't miss it.
And then schedule, has that been released yet?
Yeah. We open up on the road June 1st, not very far, just over in O'Fallon against the Hoots. So division matchup right there out of the gates. And then we come home for our home opener the next day on June 2nd. And I hope I'm getting these dates right.
We'll edit it in post.
But yeah, it'll. Yeah, exactly. But we open up at home against the new Marion team that
cool.
doesn't have a name yet. So
he who not be named.
Exactly. So we don't have to worry about misspelling that one because they don't have a name yet.
That's my new base. That's their new name, the misspelt.
Yeah, you know what? I do that all the time. So I know the feeling. Spell check is my friend.
Yeah, I just wish I wouldn't do things right last minute like always. That's okay. Dallas Martz, for all of you to become a host family, altonbaseball.com. Click on Be a Host Family at the bottom of the screen and join the Hopkins and so many great families around here providing that service to the Alton River Dragons, as they're providing a bigger one for us, and that's entertainment, but most importantly, something to get behind in the summer and support. That's what's really cool.
We appreciate all the support. We really do. It means a lot.
Dallas, thank you so much for your time. We're out of here. It's 10:59, a little bit of change on this 10th day of January. I'll see you right back here live at 9 for more of our daily show. So on that note, have a great day and try your very best, just to stay out of jail.
Oh, yes, he did. He said